think a burst of few. So first is your child is not you. The second is your child is born with unlimited power. You and I, every human being is born with unlimited power. The third is it's not your role to do stuff for them. Your one line job is to make them responsible for their life.
Hey listeners, with me today is a very interesting personality, a pioneer in parenting education, and something we all, either as kids, children, or as parents, always think about this. Why can't our parents listen to us? Or as parents, why can't our kids listen to us? Here is somebody who will give us a bird's eye view of all of this and much more, and also talk about a very unique and nice organization that he has set up, which goes with the name Parwarish. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome Sushant to Inspire Someone today. Sushant, how are you?
Good, yeah, thanks. Really happy to be here.
Likewise, thanks for taking time and joining me and my listeners on this show today. Sushant, very interesting journey that you have had. 17 years in the corporate world, and then you took a big plunge into something unique, something different from what the regular mainstream is. Turned out to be a parenting coach. Tell us, how did all of this happen?
Yeah, it's a very strange story. And I think I've told this so many times to people. So me and my wife, Monica, we got married in 1995. And as the story starts, we didn't want to be parents. We were clear that we will not have children ever in our life. And that's how it started. And the reason behind that was that when I used to see parents, all my cousins, even younger cousins, and my friends were married before us. So I used to observe this that all the children are saying that parents are always on our case. So when we are sleeping, they're saying, get up. If you're not sleeping, they say, sleep. If you're studying, then say, it's bahut ho gaya, you should go out and play. If you're playing outside, they'll say, do this. If you're eating something, don't eat this, eat this. So it's like they feel that all the time parents are instructing, telling them what not to do, what to do, and saying it's painful. And when we spoke to parents, it was the same story. So they used to say, pata nahi hai, sota nahi hai, pita nahi hai, sunta nahi hai, and I think he's now gone into a bad company and he's not started responding. He's become this adamant and stubborn and all that. I said, what's the point in bringing a life into this world when you will have trouble and they will have trouble? What's the point? Let's not have it. It's perfectly fine. We'll go this way. But then I say in India, getting married and not having children is almost impossible. Specifically for a huge Punjabi family. I have approximately 100 people staying within a kilometer's radius of this house. So every time it used to be, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you? Why aren't you? And even the dog on the road was saying, any problem? So finally we gave in after about 6 years of our marriage. Aman happened in the 7th year. And then when Monica was pregnant, that's where it all started. I said, this is not what I want to go through. This is not what I want my child to go through. There has to be some method, some system, some process to this. It can't be bad for everybody. It's like we all have great stuff. When we leave, our children are better than us. But the journey was very exasperating for people when I saw. So I said, let's research. So that's where it started. Aman is right now 21 years plus. So in short, based on a lot of extensive research on this topic, observing children, observing parents, writing a lot of stuff, reading a lot of stuff. And I took that plunge in 2008. I had to convince my wife and my parents first that from a career being a vice president with a multinational company, dropping everything and saying, I want to do something like that. And everybody in the family, everybody, it could be from my relatives who won't have even met me for years, came back and said, you're mad. How can you train parents? Parents will never come to you. If you want to do something, talk to children. Go train children. Go coach children. Parents will never come to you. Thanks to my parents, thanks to my wife, thanks to my children, they said, okay, fine. If you want to really ready for the plunge, go right ahead and jump. So that's how it started in 2008. And 2012 onward, I started hiring a lot of people. Right now, we are a team of 12 people in Delhi. We have one person in Calcutta. We have one person in Siliguri. And right now, there are, I think, about 12 to 13 parent coaches who are in various stages of getting coached and being certified by us to coach people around. So that's been a journey. People from child development, human development, counseling, psychology started joining in, and we started researching it more. So what we have right now is a Parwarish child development model, which is a contemporary child development model, and it's done. So it's very extensive research, observation, writing based. It started off as my own philosophy, but it's not anymore Sushant's philosophy. It's now Parwarish.
That's a rollicking start to the show about how you kind of found your own purpose to do something that you have passionately believed in, which, as you stated, led to the beginning of Parvarish. And I'm intrigued. I want to kind of touch upon all of your research work, all of these things. Let's hope we will do justice to touch upon some of those elements. But with this journey, you founded Parvarish, right? So again, for the benefit of all of us, what's Parvarish all about and what's your mission around that?
If you ask me that before going into the mission and the vision statement which we created in 2008 itself, but two main things which got me doing it and what is still at the core of what we are providing is first is we tell our parents that whether you get coached or whether you get trained in this whole thing, you will leave your children more than what you started from. And if you look at history, your grandparents left your parents better than themselves, and your parents left you better than you. So, and I'm not defining better; you define your own better. So whether you come for these or not, or you go for this training or not, you will leave your child at a higher level than you are, and you will do everything to make that happen. But the whole game is that journey joyful, fulfilling, exciting every day, or am I running after something and exasperated at the end of the day? So just to give you a sense, and you're also a parent, Shrikant, just take a minute and think about how it felt when you took your firstborn in your arms for the first time. How did that feel?
Very special and unique.
Yeah, and it's like that magical moment, right? Even if you think for a minute, you feel elated right now. You experience it right now. And as we move along in our parenting journey, we lose that moment. We don't get that again and again. It's more of difficulties, more of issues. It's always running behind stuff. So the first thing Parvarish is all about, how can I get that joy and fulfillment that I got when I held my firstborn in my arms for the very first time? How can that be a day-to-day experience? And people say it's not possible. We've made it possible for more than 25,000 parents now. And the second thing is, every human being, and I'm not talking just from our own research, but if you go to any scriptures, we're talking about that human beings are born with unlimited potential. Like you really go, the Gita says, Aham Brahma Asmi, like right inside you, you're capable of everything. And that is where we started observing children. And if you really observe a young child, 2.5-year-old child, you will see the child happy most of the time. They're very self-expressed. They would say whatever they want to say. They would say most inappropriate things in the most inappropriate times. Doesn't matter. So they're very self-expressed. They're very high on their self-confidence. They would want to drive a car at 2. They want to sit at the driver's seat and say, "Main chalauga." They are fearless. They ask a lot of questions. They're very inquisitive. They have huge exploring abilities. They want to explore everything, open everything, eat everything, look for everything else. They're very compassionate. They're full of love and care. Just a simple hug from a 2.5-year-old takes away all your pain. They want to become independent. It's a very typical thing. I don't know what happens in South India, but North India, you will feel children saying "ape ape." They want to do everything themselves. So if you look at all these elements, they are right up there for a 2.5-3-year-old. But as we grow, as they are nurtured, as they go to the schooling, and as they interact with others around, all these abilities you see either getting suppressed or damaged. So if you compare a 2.5-year-old on these elements, or you compare a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or 15-year-old, you'll see that these are either diminishing. Somebody is losing their self-confidence, somebody is losing their self-expression, somebody is saying, "I don't want to do it." So all that is diminishing. So the second idea was, how can we make sure that these elements, what you and I and every human being is born with, how can we keep that intact, not let it suppress or damage? On the other hand, nurture it. That's where the word Parvarish is coming from. Like, how can we nurture those elements which provide you and me with unlimited potential? So the mission statement of Parvarish says that Parvarish partners and empowers parents, teachers, and other caregivers in nurturing every child's no limitness.
No limitness. I think that was very intriguing there.
Yeah. And one of the vision statement is that parents having joy and fulfillment in day-to-day parenting. And the other statement is talking about how parents, teachers, and children can be together and have a great relationship with each other. And every child can enjoy learning in every center of education. These were the statements which were created in 2008 when we started off.
No, that's very well articulated and resonates well as well. I think particularly the point that you made, identifying or feeling joy and fulfillment every day, just not for kids, even for parents.
Absolutely.
So what are those things that by virtue of you doing the work that you have been able to instill this whole concept of finding joy and fulfillment in the day-to-day life?
The people who I used to at a level abuse when they used to follow up with me in that you're not having a child, why don't you have a child? I literally went up to a level of abusing them. They were relatives, and I was nasty with them. And right now, if you ask me, I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Thank God they pushed me into something. I would have been bereft of this whole experience. It's been the most beautiful experience of my life. Not just as a parent, but also as a human being. I evolved who I was 20 years back. Had you met me there, I couldn't talk to people. If there are 5 people sitting there, you will not see me speaking. So when I go to my school and take my own sessions, when I'm my own school, my teacher said that in 12 years, you haven't spoken this much. You haven't interacted with us. In 12 years, what you interacted with us today in one day, 3 hours. So I was a quiet backbencher, never opened his mouth, a very shy guy, to what I am, and I can completely relate it to and dedicate it to my own journey as a parent. That's my own experience. And I said that if I, who's not been trained in parenting, or it was own research where it started, later I did my master's in education and master's in child development. But if I could do it and my wife could do it, why can't every parent get it? It's not as difficult. And just to see what barrier comes in, Shrikant, everybody starts a journey beautifully. That moment when you imagine your own child holding them for the first time, everybody wants to do it good. You would put everything into your parenting. I think our children matter to us more than anything else. But what happens is, the biggest, I would say, paradox in parenting is that we all have been brought up in a certain level. And while we were getting parented ourselves, there were certain times which we didn't like. There are certain things which we like. So in our mind, our whole system of parenting was getting frozen in our own mind, that how would I raise my child? Some things which didn't work for us, we say, okay, this is not what I would do with my child. Something which worked for us, we say, okay, this is great, which my parents did, I will take it on. So by the time we become parents, we have fixed up a great system of how best parenting can exist. But the problem there is, that's the best parenting for you. That's how you wanted it. That's how you felt. And that's how you didn't want it. And then you start doing that on your own child. But your child is not you. And second thing, your child is gone at least 30 years later. The world is not the same. What was applicable 30 years back is absolutely not applicable today. And even if you try to apply it, it'll be a disaster. But try fitting a Maruti car tire into today's car. Car will not run and the tire will burst. So that's where the misfit starts to happen. We start to parent our child as we wanted ourselves to be parented.
From our lens, basically.
Our lens, I would not even say lens. It's like, this is exactly how I felt and this is how I want to make my child feel. But your child is not you.
No, that's a great point. Your child is not you. But how do you respond to the cynics or the critics that, see, when we were growing up, our parents, our grandparents, they didn't have all of this parenting coach, parenting workshops. But majority of us came out well. It's not necessary that we went through all of these things to be who we are. So replace that with the current age thing, that we are focusing so much on being good parent, raising great kids, all of those things. So how do you respond to the critics?
And the amount of time and mind share which current age parents are providing, I don't think our parents provided that. So you're right in that question, that they didn't have anything. We are more educated. We are putting in more mind share. We are providing them with more facilities. So Shrikant, I would answer this in 2-3 ways. Okay? The first thing is to check on the ground. What are the realities? I wouldn't say we are right or wrong. Okay, we'll go there later. Let's look at the on-ground realities. How was the society or the environment of the world 30 years back, 40 years back? And how is it now? Drug addiction, alcoholism has gone down to class 5, 6. Children of the age 12, 10, and you'll be shocked, I'm saying 10, are sexually active. And that's a fact. It must be a shock for you. Weed is normal. The amount of exposure which is happening to our children is humongous. Depression is increased. Stress has increased. Teenage suicide is increasing. Suicide and stress because of examination and competition is increased. The relationships have gone down. Divorce rates have doubled. So if you look at all these reality facts, even health-wise, if you can check it out, our children are far physically weaker than our own parents. We can blame the environment. We can say, okay, they're getting a lot of exposure. But if all of these is pointing towards a deterioration of mental, physical, emotional, relationship, all kind of health, then we need to start thinking there is something amiss. We are doing it financially as far as our own resources are concerned. We are done all well. It's a huge improvement. But in reality, if you look at what are our children going through and what are we going through, I think it's a huge downhill. And we need to sit back and say, like, if that is what the reality is on the ground, we need to think back and say there's something missing. So coming back to what is missing and why our parents may need it and we need it. So first thing first, the level of exposure, what we have currently or what our children have, like what we used to have 40 years back is not even an iota of what our children are going. Not even an iota. If you look at a few things, okay, for us, the first thing, our friend circle or our influential circle used to be either 3-4 friends at school or 3-4 friends in your locality, right? Who you play with, or maybe somebody you go to a tuition with. That's it. What is our children's friend circle? Thousands of friends on Facebook, Insta, I don't know what all. And they're from all across the world. For us, media used to be a chitrahar or a movie once a week maximum. For our children, they're watching everything 24/7. And tell me if you have seen any kind of a series or any movie, whether it is Bollywood or Hollywood, which does not have sexual connotation. You listen to any song today. I'm talking not on connotation, the words they use are unparliamentary. And our children at the age of 3 are going through it. That exposure is so huge. Children are getting into sexual acts at 9. Why? Because the exposure is high and we have no idea what to do with it. So those cars weren't there, the exposure was there, the internet wasn't there, it was not there. And really, I can share an incident, okay? If at our time, I remember, if we could see somebody, if a child or a teenager would be smoking on the road, any person, even crossing him, would ask him, don't smoke. A neighbor would say, beta, ye achhi baat nahi hai, mat karo. Whether you're related or not, the society would say, don't do this, this is not good for you. Right now, the reality is if a child is seen smoking, a person will go and sell weed to him. This is not do this. The bars are open in the morning. Why? In all cities. You and I who are working don't go to bars in the morning, yeah? Why are they open on a weekday bar? Have you ever thought of it? It's school children, college children going there. So the environment is pulling them ulta. At that point of time, in our parents' time, our grandparents' time, it was the village which was bringing up a child. Right now, except the two of you, the father and the mother, rest everybody's pulling them into directions which you can't even know how to. And once a child slips there, like imagine a 10-year-old getting into sexual acts or getting into weed or getting into alcohol. It's a bottomless pit. You and I need to become our children's best friends before all these elements befriend them. So it's a very difficult world out there. Very difficult. 37% of adolescents of the country, 37%, that's more than 1 in 3 children, are suffering from depression. And who knows, where do they go to? To another friend who's already depressed? If they don't have that support from the parents, there is nowhere to go. And the second, just want to add to this, what we do at Parwarish is not just about these problems. This is dangerous. So I want parents to really figure this out because we're going down a hill. It's like going down a hill which doesn't have a bottom. But as I said in the beginning, the focus is on no limit. On one side, this is this. On the other side, your children, my child, are born with unlimited power. They're born no limit. If we do not train ourselves to focus on those elements, like just imagine, being happy, self-expressed, high on self-confidence, high on self-esteem, inquisitive, exploring, love and care, being humane, being independent and responsible. Just imagine a child with all these qualities. Even the sky is not the limit for that. So on one side, there's such a huge potential. And if, as a parent, I put in some effort, because I'll tell you what, a lot of parents think parenting takes a lot of time. Parenting doesn't take time. Even if you have 15 minutes a day, it's more than enough. 15 minutes a day is more than enough. More than enough. But if you know the system and you're able to nurture these 9 elements, your child is ready to fly.
Well, you made a couple of pertinent points here. One is definitely deflected the whole question of how relevant it is for this whole awareness of parenting in today's day and age. Secondly, reinforce the adage that goes, it takes a village to grow a child. And thirdly, you did mention about it's that 15 minutes of quality time that one needs to invest to kind of raise a child with all of these self-believing traits. So what are those things that you will advise to the parents listening to it or the kids listening to this show to say that these are the things that you can try doing? 15 minutes of quality thing that can change the perspective of parent and child.
So, two, three things which people listening to this can start off right from today is one, as I said, you and I and everybody, every human being is born with unlimited power. They're born no limit. Believe in yourself and believe in them. Like, tell them that you can do anything and keep instilling this belief. We all want our children to do everything, but the way we communicate is, "Tu ye bhi nahi kar pa raha. Take that kid is better than you. Take your brother is better than you. Do it. You still not doing it. You're still not doing it." So what we are basically telling our children all the day that I can't, I can't, I can't. I want people to just spin it over. If your child fails, tell him, get up. You can do it. And as a father, as a mother, you coming in saying that means a world to a child. But imagine your child, your father coming to you and saying, "I know you can do it, Shrikant. Go do it." You will get power like nobody's business. So first things first is they believe in their no limitness. Keep telling them you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. It took 9,999 mistakes for Edison to make before he invented the bulb. So if your child falls for 100 times, 1,000 times, doesn't matter. So that's one. The second one is you are not your child. So don't do something which you think is good for him. The best way is to go and ask. Ask the child, connect with the child, and connect with the child emotionally. I'm saying it very simply, but it takes a lot of skills and practice to do that. But the game is, do not do it because you think it's right.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you think it's right, communicate, talk, chat, understand from them, build that communication before you make anything else. So start raising your child versus yourself. You're raising a very different human being. He thinks, he drinks, he tastes, his smell, his thoughts, his power is all different from you. He's not you. He's only born through you. So that's the second one. And the third one, that's the toughest one actually, is your job is to make your child responsible. Stop doing things for them. They have the capability of getting up in the morning. They have the capability of getting ready for school. They have the capability of studying themselves. They have the capability of solving their own problems. Trust them and start building that belief there and the responsibility there versus you saying, okay, I will wake you up. I will teach you. I will support you in your exams. I will solve your problems. I will solve the sibling rivalries. They are capable. Let them.
So what you're trying to say is they're capable of doing some of these things. We overly try to do some of those elements.
You heard it a bit differently. I said it a bit differently. I said they're capable of everything, not some of these.
Okay.
And I can tell you, I started on, as I said, the whole journey started with my own children. Aman is 21, Vanya is 15 right now. Since 3, then they were 3 both. We haven't done a thing for them. Never woken them up in the morning for school, never packed their bags, never asked them to study, never told them to be exam, never cared for their breakfast. It's here. You want to have it, you want to cook it for yourself, feel free. And the list goes on. So they're capable of everything. And they're not exceptional. Okay, your child is as no limit as mine is.
That's interesting. And again, continue on this for many of us who are listening to this. There are 2 questions. One is, what do I need to do to get started on this journey? Or the other question is, am I too late in this journey? Because my kid is, say, what are the age bracket is 5 years, 7 years, 10, 15. And as a parent, I'm listening this for the first time or I'm aware of this now. Have I missed the bus?
So great news is you've never missed a bus. As I told you my story, my whole journey of transformation started after Aman was born. And it took me a few years before I could actually gather it for myself. So my journey started when I was, I think, about 34, 35. So you're not late. Having said that, parents of a 2-year-old to a 35-year-old have come and done our program.
Mm-hmm.
So parents of 60-year-old parents, you had grandparents join in to support their parents, to support their grandchildren. So you're never too late. Second thing is, what is the best time? The best time would be about 2.5, 3 when you can start this journey. A lot of people would say that it's too early, there's nothing there. I think that's the best point because right now, those 9 elements which I talked about are right now at 10 on 10. So why do you wait for them to dip and then take it up? At that age, you just take the flight. And children at that age absorb it like nobody's business. You tell them you can do anything, and they say, I'm a Superman. So they take it in seconds. With teenagers, it takes more time, but is it possible? The answer is yes. So just to tell you, Shrikant, there's a program which we do with parents. It's like a coaching and supporting program. It takes 2.5 months in total. The promise of that program is that whatever you're dealing with, it will get done in those 2.5 months. No questions asked. And we don't even meet the child. We don't meet the child. We don't even know what's happening there. We will only meet the parents. And we say, in case in 2.5 months it doesn't happen, take the fees back. So it's not about money at all. It's about that the confidence we have that it's a done deal. And it's not because we're confident about what we're talking about, what we're doing. It's all about that your child is born with all the power. What we support parents is, how can you identify the barriers which have come in the way of they accessing that? So if you're able to figure out those barriers and support them in breaking those barriers, the unlimited potential which your child is born with, it surfaces.
So we are slipping into the power of 3 rounds. Sushant, I will ask you some questions in this round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3 routines Sushant follows regularly.
Playing tennis.
Okay.
Spending time with my children, my family every day, with my parents, my children, all of it together. And third would be being Parwarish all the time.
Good start. From all the work that you have done so far, 3 impactful interventions that you can talk about.
Starting off the school curriculum. So we work with a school in Gurgaon called Pragyanam. Their entire curriculum is based on our philosophy. So the report card, the assessment matrix which parents get after every quarter, is actually based on these 9 life skills. It's a CBSE school, and we use the education curriculum, the syllabus, the CBSE syllabus to make that happen. So that's number 1. Number 2, with the same work with an NGO school 2 years back. Children from the destitutes, like the beggars and rag pickers and daily wagers, their children come in. And the teachers are also from the same community. We train them for a year, and the amount of the school flipped. It's like it's in a slum area, and when you go there, it's a different world altogether. So, and it's after 2 years of our intervention, it's still continuing the way it is. So that's the second one. The third is, I can't name one, but there are a lot of parents from children who had dyscalculia, dysgraphia, children who were ADHD, children who had OCD. We could reverse that through our intervention with their parents. So why am I mentioning again these difficult areas? Because people start feeling that this is something which is very different. Things start happening with them. So I'm not naming the normal stuff which is happening, but even these parents, and they are having a difference being made. A child who was on these medicines for about 8-10 years could reduce it by 70%, start his normal life after 8 years. These 3 stand out.
Very interesting. 3 parenting myths that you would like to bust?
3 parenting myths. I think I'll burst a few. So first is, your child is not you. The second is, your child is born with unlimited power. You and I, every human being is born with unlimited power. The third is, it's not your role to do stuff for them. Your one-line job is to make them responsible for their life. And they're capable of that.
Okay. If Sushant had a choice to have 3 guests you would invite for dinner, given anybody in the world, who would those 3 persons be?
Education minister, the education secretary, and human resource secretary of the country or of the world.
Wonderful. Last question, Sushant, in this power of 3 round. 3 lessons learned from running Parwarish.
First big one was I can. Believing in myself. It's like a huge shift. The second was, if you believe in something, just go do it. It's that your belief will take you where you can. And the third one is the whole philosophy of enjoying your failures. So something which I said and did a TED talk on that. I don't know if you've seen that. Wow, I failed. It's been the philosophy, enjoying the failure and then doing it again. These 3 things.
Wonderful. So moving on, after this wonderful power of 3 rounds, Sushant, this section is more about tips to improve the child and parent relationship. Since we are talking about perfect parenting, role modeling for our kids, things like that. What is the role of the parent? You did touch upon some elements of it, but from a tip standpoint, if you were to kind of share, what is the role of the parent? How best to understand the child? What would that be?
So I'll start with this whole title of the book I authored, Perfect Parenting. So the first thing is that you as a parent are perfect. Your child is also perfect. What you need to do is find a perfect blend. And this blend, Shrikant, has to be different for different child. If you have two children, the same blend won't work for both. The first thing is trust yourself, trust your child. Both are perfect. There's nothing wrong with anyone. You need to find a blend which will make things work beautifully. And how to do it would be really, as I said before, looking at your own child as a different human being. Build communication to a level where you can start understanding each other. And understanding each other means understanding each other's feelings, understanding each other's thoughts, understanding each other's action, wants. And it's and when I say understanding, it's not just about listening to them or providing her advice. Listening to them as human beings. So, for example, a lot of people say, talk about treat your child as an adult. When should we start treating them like an adult? They're a child right now. I want to just destroy that entire conversation and destroy that conversation. Don't start thinking, should I treat them like an adult? Should I treat them like a child? Your child is a human being. You are a human being. Treat each other as human beings. There's no question about it. You are a human being talking to another human being. And he's a very different human being and she's a very different human being from you. So their view of life, their thoughts, their thinking is not wrong. They can be different. And that's how human beings have evolved. If we were all thinking alike and we all knew what was right and what was wrong, only one, we wouldn't have evolved the way human beings have evolved. So it's a view, acknowledge the view, appreciate the view, and keep discussing. You're not wrong, your child is not wrong. Can we communicate? Can we value each other's thoughts? Can we value each other's feelings? Can we value each other's views? So I would say this is the only way to connect. And just what I said earlier also, your children are born in a very different era. Or I can say children are born on a different planet. What we were born in and what you are born in are two different planets altogether. So treat them as different, treat them as they're born on a different planet, and yet you can do it together.
I think as a parenting coach, I will ask this particular contemporary issue that is prevailing currently across the globe, which is schools turning out digital. The screen time of all the kids has exponentially increased. And every parent's ask is that how can I reduce my kids' screen time? But I'm not asking you tips for what should parents be doing differently, but want you to kind of highlight from a kid's standpoint, what is this doing to them and what should parents be aware of?
So screen time is very damaging. So we need to be aware of it. As adults, even as children, we have no idea to the depth of the damage right now. The Harvard Medical School did a research which says that excessive screen time has the same damage on your brain as much as cocaine. So your brain gets damaged at the same level. Maybe slower, but at the same level. And the other thing which I find a lot of parents saying that, okay, school time, if a child is doing something productive on screens, that's okay. Gaming and listening to music or watching movies or being on YouTube or playing around or gaming, that is bad. If a child is productively using the screen, it's okay. By the way, the screen doesn't know whether it is productive or not. So it has the same damage. It has the same damage. So don't differentiate between this is bad, this is good. Ye mat kar, ye kar le. That's where the disconnect between the parents and children start happening. Because you force them to take the online classes, you force them to take the online tuitions, you force them to take those apps which are teaching apps. But the minute he goes on to even 15, 20 minutes, half an hour of gaming or entertainment or socializing, it's bad. So as a screen, it's all bad. And I just talked about one brain damage, but it has large number of implications. One of the biggest issues which the screen has created, and not now, but it's been creating it for the last 20 years, 30 years now, is that Everything is available on a touch of a button. You want to watch a movie right now, you click it. If you want to listen to music, click it. If you want to move food right now, order it online. If you want to buy a ticket, if you want to go somewhere, if you want to book a hotel, it takes a click to do all of that. But anything important in life, love, relationships, career, money, passion, none of that comes on a click of a button. So our children are losing out their tenacity, their ability to fight it through, fall and get up again, fall and get up again. So the minute something happens, doesn't happen on a click of a button, they say, leave it, not my cup of tea, I don't want to do it. But in reality, when the life hits them and important things matter, people want a click of a button answer, which is not available. It's pretty bad out there. So you have to make it happen. The simple way to do it, it's a process, but if I tell you a simple way to do it is build up non-screen time for yourself also. And there are enough and more things available outside which will give you the same amount of pleasure, same amount of fun, same amount of socializing, same amount of excitement, same amount of stress busting. This could be painting, this could be singing, this could be dancing, this could be playing any game, just going out, flying a kite, running around, jumping, cycling. There are tons of stuff available. And every child has a different thought about it. Every child has a different liking. One child can like tennis, the other can like painting, the other can like do that. But adding a caveat for all the parents listening to this, do not put this as putting them into a classes. So the minute a child says, I'm interested in painting and I'm interested in tennis or I'm interested in music, the same second that parent calls up and fixes up a coach for that, or a school for that, or a hobby class for that. That's the worst mistake you can ever do. Because then you put something which is interesting and fun to be structured as an objective. I want my child to paint like that. I want him to win those competitions, be on the stage. No, these are stuff which is without instruction, free time, play time, my time.
Great advice there. Thanks for sharing this. And you also kind of brought together your own learnings, the last decades of running Parwarish, working with thousands of parents and doing tons and tons of seminars, all of those things into this perfectly crafted book called as Perfect Parenting. A quick elevator speech of what it is, we'll definitely leave details about this book in the show notes. But for the benefit of all the listeners, what is this book all about? What's the takeaway people will have if they were to read this particular book?
So yeah, this book is a very simply written book on what a parent's journey can be and what it should be. As I said, you're a perfect parent, your child is a perfect child. This book will give you certain tools which you can use to create your own perfect plan. What I do with my child in my environment may or may not work. So there is not one perfect way of parenting. Everybody can create their own perfect plan. And it's available for you. It's a very small, quick read, 150 pages bit. So when I was writing it, one thing which was on my head was that everybody says that there is no manual on parenting. Children are born without a manual. So I would say, here's your manual for your children. And it's valid across. Yeah, absolutely. It's valid across. We've done this work with parents from China to Japan to US to Australia to Dubai to any other place in the world, and across socioeconomic status. So doing this work with the Deal community in Jodhpur, to the middle class, to upper middle class, to industrialists of the country. So this works across.
Wonderful. So this is a globally endorsed book. So you'll have the details of it in the show notes. Thanks for sharing those details, Sushant. So Sushant, this show is all about inspiration and creating ripples of inspiration. If you were to have the message for all the listeners out here, what is your Inspire Someone Today message?
You live only once. I don't know what after the afterlives. And the end is your photograph is going to be on the wall, maybe with or without a garland. The end is that. So play your game, play it full out. At 60 or 70, whenever you hang up your boots, the answer to your question was, did I give it all? The answer should be yes. Doesn't matter. You die a pauper or you die a thing.
Did I give it all? and ensure that you find the answer as yes. That's a message out here, folks, from the well-acclaimed parenting coach and author of Perfect Parenting, Sushant Kalra. Sushant, thank you so much for joining and sharing your journey and sharing tips around the perfect parenting with all the listeners out here.
Pleasure. Thanks, Sushant. It was really great. Really enjoyed every minute of it.
Likewise, thank you so much. Thank you for listening into today's edition of Inspire Someone Today. It's been a privilege to bring in these conversations. If you like this episode and have any feedback or comments, do mail me at inspiresomeonetodaypodcast@gmail.com. Inspiring someone is like creating ripples around us. If you like what you listen, feel free to share them and let's create ripples of inspiration. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram handle @InspireSomeoneTodayPodcast for all the latest updates. This is Srikanth, your host, signing off, and until next time, keep inspiring.